What's going on, Junkie Nation? We hunted him down. The latest member of the Ultimate Fighting Championships Hall of Fame. It's Killer Cub Swanson, former WEC stud, and the last 12 years or so, he has now been a member of the UFC's featherweight division. What's going on, Cub? How are you? And congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. I'm doing great. I feel motivated. I'm in the gym like, all right, let's get to work.
Yeah. I brought up WEC because that's when we met you. But WEC was only a 3-year run. It's hard to believe they're so far down in the history books. Much respect to the WEC. There's not many of you guys left. But the UFC's been part of your life for a dozen years. And I remember back then, we didn't even talk about stuff like that because they didn't have the lighter weight divisions.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. I literally thought that I was in the UFC as long as I was in the WC. When I did the math, I was like, wow, I was in the WC for like 3.5, almost 4 years. And then in the UFC over 10 years, I was like, this is, I think like 11 years. I was like, that's crazy. How time just kind of plays tricks on you. But WC still has my heart.
I was even shocked to see you were 38. If somebody would have said, hey, how old is he? I would have said, he's 34, whatever. But you're 38, man. You were a young dude. You were a young dude when we met you. Like almost a guy straight out of college when you were doing this.
Yeah, well, so I turned pro when I was 20, and I got in the big show in the WC when I was 23. So
Mm.
it's been quite a journey. I'm getting closer to 40. So what I just tell people is like my pro career, I'm like 6 months behind LeBron James. So when people are all saying how long he's been doing it, I'm on almost that same timeline.
Yeah. Well, again, man, seeing you up on that stage was amazing. And the passion that poured out, the emotion that poured out. I don't even think I have to ask you what it meant to you because you could tell it meant the world to you. Your family was front row, and you got a chance to, kind of take us through a road or down a road, culminating, of course. I got to bring him up, man. Kami, you gave him a nice shout out because he was a lot to you. Your best friend. A lot of people don't even know it. He was your best man at the wedding, and he was a lot. Not just the manager coach, but he was a lot to you. So you nailed it, man. It was great, and congrats to Duho Choi as well. How often do you watch this scrap, by the way? Maybe once a year? Have you kind of came up with a tradition? Maybe before you carve the turkey, you just say, I'll be back in 30 minutes. Treat yourself to watching that fight?
Well, first of all, thank you about Kami. It was very difficult to get out. I wish I could have even said it a little better than I did. I wish, but I was getting choked up. It was hard to, his 2-year-old son was there and his fiance, and they were getting all emotional. So I mean, it was a great moment. Just wanted to make sure that people knew the story of him helping me out. Um, And then what was the main question?
Oh, well,
How it felt?
yeah, how it
Um,
felt, and then maybe, like I said, how often do you watch the fight? I feel like this
oh
should be a
yeah, how
yearly
often I
tradition.
watch fight. Yeah, people send me the highlights. They tag me in it a lot, so I'll get to watch the highlights. But watching the whole fight not too often. It was kind of funny. One night I was trying to like think about the speech and what I was gonna say, and me and my wife were laying in bed. We watch a movie or whatever, show before we go to bed. And I put on the fight, and she was like, no, I don't want I don't want to watch this right now. And I was like, come on, we got to watch it. And she was like, it makes me nervous. It brings up memories, and I get all tense, and I'm trying to go to bed. And I was like, yeah, you got to watch it with me because I need to really get in that mindset, or so I could write the speech. So we sat and we watched it, and yeah, it was like, man, I forget how crazy it was.
Is there anything you saw that last time when you watched it with Kenda where you were like, oh man, I forgot that happened or didn't even realize that it happened?
Um, no, it was more of like just remembering all of, like the backstory, because I had to like check in with Greg. I called. It was funny. It's like I was in a 12-step program. I was calling a bunch of people and personally thanking them before I thanked them in my speech. So um, just having all those memories, I was able to remember that that was a huge thing. Greg called me during my shakeout the morning of the fight, and he's like, Cub, I don't think I'm gonna make it, because there was a fight in Buffalo, New York the night before. And so a bunch of coaches went there, and they were planning to go to Toronto the next day, and there was like crazy weather, and he was stuck. And I didn't think he was coming, so I was already nervous because it was a big fight, and I was underdog, and I needed to win. And then he's like, your head coach is like, I don't think I'm going to be there the morning of the fight. You're like, geez, come on. So yeah, I just remember all those little backstories, and it just kind of, it was cool to see how everything worked out, and just like what an honor it was to be able to have one of the greatest nights of your life, arguably your best performance you ever had, like in front of the biggest crowd. It was like almost 21,000 people, and then I can watch it and relive that anytime I want.
Yeah. What about the jacket and the trophy? Is there going to be a special place for it? How often you going to rock the jacket? Again, man, once a year, so you got to wear that. We all wish we had one, so at least do it for us.
Yeah, I'm like, it's such a nice jacket. Apparently, it's the same shop that makes the NFL ones and the NBA ones for their Hall of Fame. So I mean, it's pretty beautiful, but I'm like, when am I going to be able to wear this out? So I don't know. Maybe they'll be bringing us out for events and we'll get to rock it. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of detail. All the buttons say Hall of Fame. It has my name on the inside. It's pretty sweet. And then the trophy, it's in my garage right now. I have my little workout area in there, and like I said, I never fought for a title, but I have a Fight of the Year trophy and a Hall of Fame trophy. Like, those are the only awards that I got to win in the sport, besides like a Fight of the Night and performance bonuses. So I think it's pretty fitting to the way I always wanted to be as a fighter. I used to appreciate not the champions really, but the guys that had the best highlight videos. They used to pump me up for training sessions. So, and I'll tell you, one of the most amazing things was seeing Big Nogueira around the PI and then at the event, and he just kept coming up to me and talking to me about my career and saying I was a real fighter. And I just was like stop. Like, I almost wanted to tell him, like, please, these compliments are undeserving. It's like such a huge honor to see somebody that you just admired and then trying to give you the same respect. Like man, that's just, it just puts things into perspective of what I've accomplished.
That's amazing. And yeah, as you were talking, I was thinking, I guess you can wear it to the future Hall of Fame ceremonies, because that's what the guys do in the NFL. You're in a fraternity, you know what I mean, of people that reached the apex of the sport, and so it should be commemorated. And so I tend to pick off of what I see in other sports. In the NFL tradition is, you see all the guys with the yellow jackets. People think they work for Hertz or Century 21, but no, they're Hall of Famers that are in the back, and they're rubbing elbows with the others that did great stuff. And that's what Big Nog was doing, except you guys weren't wearing the jackets. And you talked about awards. I know you don't like to put anyone down, and I know you felt like, oh man, these were the only two, but look back at your career, man. You did some great stuff, and there's two big wins there. Two guys that did win belts, that you beat. So you were at that level. It's just the sport goes in different directions, and anything can happen. And so maybe you didn't get to wear gold like them, but you got to be proud of Oliveira and Poirier's wins. And I saw that picture of you and Poirier. It looks like you guys are cooler than ever. So, yeah, man, be proud of all of it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I really am proud of it. And, the whole belt thing is something that, it's like when people go, oh, you're going to go into the Hall of Fame again for your career. And I'm always like, I don't know. I really can't call that. It's kind of hard to say that's going to happen, because usually it's guys that are, longtime champions or double champions. And like I said, I never fought for a title, but I didn't really feel like that was my fault. I felt like, there's other reasons for that. I was right there for a long time. And my goal has always been putting on exciting fights. And I really hope that there's some kind of a WEC wing in the Hall of Fame at some point. That would be cool.
We just had this conversation about there possibly being a Strike Force wing, a WEC wing, something like that. Because you're right, there are certain people that help make the sport move forward, and they deserve to be recognized for it. But what I wanted to ask you was that night when you went into the Hall of Fame, two people went into the Hall of Fame. And I wanted to ask you, would it be different for you if you are sorry, that's my dog, he's going crazy. If you were on the other side of that fight where you lost the fight, would it have felt any different for you, or would you still have been proud to be a part of going into the Hall of Fame?
I mean, I think that I would be proud, but obviously when you win the matchup, it's a little bit, it feels a little bit better. So, yeah, I definitely feel like it wouldn't have felt as nice. But yeah, I'm just glad that I was the winner of that fight, and it definitely meant a lot to me because it just being such a great night for me.
If they talked to you, if there was almost like a little commission of everybody that's been in for their fight, who would you nominate as the next fight to go into the Hall of Fame?
I think a girls' fight deserves to be in there, and I think Joanna against Whaley was the first one was such an incredible fight. Um, I think that one deserves to be in there. There's a bunch of great fights. I think Poirier and Gaethje have had some great fights in the UFC. But yeah, definitely the girls' fight. I think it would be the next one I'd pick.
Damn, that was a good one.
Mhm.
That was a good one, yeah. And it's funny because you've heard of the Heisman Trophy, right, Cub? In
Yeah.
college football? Well, I'm not sure because a lot of fighters are like, other sports, what are those? Uh, but I know you golf, and I know you played other sports, soccer as well. If you win the Heisman Trophy, you get a vote on all of the following Heisman trophies, so long as you live. So
Yeah.
I really liked Goze's question, and you knocked it out of the park. That would be an excellent one, especially with Joanna now retiring. You probably would want to space her. Dana White's already saying she's going in as a fighter. World champion, 5 title defenses. No one's going to argue that one. So they may separate the two. I don't know which one will go in first, but probably she'll go in first. But yeah, that was a good one. And I thought you were going to say Gaethje Chandler, because I know that one will go in one day, but it's so recent. But thanks for bringing up Gaethje, Poirier. That was a war.
What about Kelvin Gastelum, Adesanya?
Oof.
Fight too.
That
Yeah.
one was just insane. Like I said, there's so many good ones to really track, but yeah, I felt like the with Joanna just retiring and that fight was just I think that's the greatest women's fight in UFC history, in my opinion. And so yeah.
How about Bigfoot and Hunt? You guys remember that one?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it was in
Man,
Australia.
Yeah, that was a wild one. I loved Mark Hunt, especially from the Pride days, and yeah, I like all the old school guys.
Yeah. If you weren't a fighter, I'd say, he's got a brother named Mike. But anyway, all right. How about Faber? Did you run into Faber since we talked and we threw it out in the atmosphere? Faber was warm to it. You, of course, are warm to it. And I'm just wondering why it hasn't happened. Like, I don't know. Like, when both parties are in, I keep thinking, it's just a matter of time. Maybe someone's healing up an injury or something. Someone's got an important life event going on. But now that you were in town for a few weeks, did you run into him? Has this been brought up? What's the latest on that?
Yeah, it was funny. We ran into each other at the lobby of the Red Rock, and his kids started playing with my kids, and it was super cute. And we were just chatting, and we were like, yeah, let's, we could do it anytime. In the beginning, he was wanting me to drop to 35, and I didn't know if that was possible. And I think we can make it work. The thing is, I think the fight should be in California in an arena, at the very least Vegas. But I think California, especially if I can get the fight into Palm Springs, that's where I would want the fight to happen. So yeah, I think that there's no rush, because I'm still active. And when I brought it up to the UFC, they kind of brushed it off because he hasn't been too active, obviously. And so I think that if the right opportunity presented itself, then both of us really pushing it, it'll happen.
Yeah, I was just thinking Faber's going to push for Sacramento, but I guess one way here I'm giving away negotiating tactics is, oh, all right, I'll go to 35, but then we got to go to Palm Springs. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that could work.
Give and take.
That-
Is that arena up and going? I know we've talked about it for a long time, but is it up and going?
Not yet. It's almost done. I think November it's going to be done. They've been building it pretty fast because they were supposed to be done in August.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah.
feel like we've been talking about this for years, but I was going to say they're still not done, but you're saying it's going up fast?
Yeah, I mean it's like a year and a half for a whole, I think it's like 12,000 people. So I feel like especially during this time, they had a bunch of hiccups and yeah, I think
Maybe that was it. I think it was probably the pandemic, and of course we probably started talking about it in anticipation of even the first shovel, the commemorative shovel happening. So, all right, that's cool. All right, Goes, you want to fire back? What you got for Cub?
Well, one of the things that George had mentioned was some of your bigger wins over former champions. A guy like Oliveira that's been on such a run, what is the secret sauce? I know that it's different for every fighter, but taking yourself out of the equation and what you did that night, looking at him now and how much he's evolved, what do you think fighters are missing? What needs to happen to catch this guy?
I mean, I think he always had the tools. He was very dangerous. It was hard to train for him, but I think he just finally stopped giving up too much of himself on the scale at 45, and then I think he just started really believing himself. I think he always carried a little bit of doubt, and something switched, and you see it in Poirier the first time he fought Connor. He wasn't, he was kind of blinded by the lights, and then after a little bit more experience and growing up in this crazy environment, you become tougher and tougher and tougher, and you see these guys start shining in the big moments. So that's why I'm proud to have fought both of those guys and see their success, because once you have wars like that with these guys, you wish nothing but success for them, and it's pretty cool to see both of them succeeding.
Cub, do you have an Amazon wish list?
An Amazon wish list?
Yeah, if you go on Amazon, you can make a list of things like when it's your birthday and people can look and see. But what I'm getting at is I went on mine yesterday and I hadn't looked at it for a while. And half of that stuff I went, what was I thinking? This is stupid. The last time we asked you for your wish list, George mentioned it, Urijah Faber, but things change. Is there anything new on your Cub Swanson wish list if they were to ask you, how would you like to end this career here in the next couple of years? What do you foresee? What kind of things make you happy?
I think the Urijah fight would be good for the fans. So I mean, I think they'd appreciate that. I mean, maybe a Jose Aldo fight, but I just wanna have a few more exciting fights, and until my body feels like, all right, it's done. And then honestly, my wish list is to be jiu-jitsu and soccer dad, and take my kids around and give them more of my time. I give them a lot of my time now, but I know I could give them even more. So a few more exciting fights, and then giving a lot of attention to my kids. That's my wish list.
As we were reading up on the latest with Cub Swanson, before this interview, I came across an article. It seems like Damon Jackson, his wish list has you on it. What's all that about? Has it been cleared up, or what he said doesn't strike me as the Cub Swanson I've ever known all these years, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so it's he was just frustrated because he fought one of my guys, and he started talking a lot of crap about me. It pissed me off, because I'm cordial. I'm not trying to have issues with people, but if people have issues, then I'll address it. And when people call me out, I'm always telling Sean, like, I'll fight that guy. It's not a problem. But it's usually him saying that doesn't make sense. So it doesn't bother me, so fans don't usually hear me going back and forth, because I just don't really like doing that. But with Damon, he fought one of my guys. My guy took it on short notice. He's a 35er doing 45. And I was trying to, pump up my guy, and I was talking about Damon to my guy. I would never talk to Damon directly. I wasn't speaking to him. I was saying, Damon's tired. He had a hard weight cut. Those are all things that we knew. And I was reminding my guy to keep pushing. And Damon was offended by that somehow. And then me and his coach had some words at the very end, because his coach was talking directly to my guy in the first round and the third round, which I didn't appreciate. So for whatever the things that he was accusing me of, it was his side that was doing that. So it kind of annoyed me, because I hate when people bash me for things that I didn't do.
I did want to close with this, because we talked about it. I was scanning over the Hall of Fame, and there's so many names that are in there that a lot of people never heard about. And I came across Mask, and I remember you had worn his tap out shorts, so pretty cool to see some OGs starting to round out the different parts of that UFC Hall of Fame that deserve it. But it kind of just brought back memories of all them, them nights in the California scene and the early WEC scene. And I'm sure you knew him better than us.
Yeah, I mean, he was always super nice to me. I was actually really close with Punk Ass. He was the one, Dan. He was the one that kind of brought me in. A lot of the other fighters were really close with Mask, but every time I was around him, he was a super cool dude. He was a large man, so he would always grab me and would be like, "Oh, who's that?" But yeah, he was like me, very passionate about the sport, and I think that was amazing of him to impact so many fighters' lives and really help people out. And I was able to go to like the Tap Out Warehouse when it was at its biggest and just see like what they built. And I was there, when they were selling T-shirts and at my fights in Tijuana on like tables, and packing up and doing it all themselves. So I saw them grow from nothing to, a multi-million-dollar company very fast. So that was pretty cool to see and inspiring.
I think you told us about that one time. You were walking out barefoot to your fight in Tijuana. Something happened. I don't know. Anyways,
there was glass on the floor when I was walking out. This is weird, the things you think about. I was like so concerned about like if I get to the ring, I don't want to take too much time and take my shoes off. So I'll just walk out there barefoot. And then there was like a bunch of glass because we were like in this ghetto arena, and I had to jump on my cornerman's back and like walk half the way. So yeah, it's just good times.
Like Joe Stevenson in season 2 of The Ultimate Fighter. Who did he get? He got on one of those guys' back. I think Mike Whitehead or something like that.
Was it him or Rashad or somebody?
I can't remember.
One was Gurgel. It was him and Gurgel, and they were going. But yeah, I think one of them was Mike Whitehead, and I think the other one might have been.
It was the challenge. It was that one challenge, and they had to piggyback each other.
Joe's a psycho, man. He's awesome.
Yeah.
I had to thank him in my speech because, that's a guy that, took me under his wing, showed me the ropes, and, taught me how to take care of the guys underneath and help those guys up. And that's been a huge part of my career is like paying it forward. Like my guy, Dan Argetta, that just fought, like he stayed at my house. I took care of him. Whenever I have guys with me, I would feed them and make sure like, hey, as long as you give me 100% effort, I'm going to, make sure that you're fed and that you have a place to stay and all that stuff. So, and then those guys take guys under their wing and you pay them forward. It's pretty cool.
Exactly. I've heard Chael Sonnen say the same thing, man. Reach down and pull someone up because someone did it to you on the way, on your way, And I do criticize fighters for being selfish. You say fighters, plural, it almost makes it sound like all of them. No, not all of them, because there's a lot of good ones. And I'm glad that you said that about Joe, and we've always felt the same way about you. So I don't need to paint with a brush like that because there's a lot of good fighters that do stuff like that, man. I've heard those stories of fighters needing a place to crash or whatever. DC was telling about the story with the Cook family, and him spilling Carl's Jr. all over the place, apparently. But yeah, good stuff, man. Always a pleasure to talk to you, Cub. Congrats on being inducted into the Hall of Fame. It was one hell of a fight, and you've had one hell of a career.
Thank you, guys. I always appreciate you guys. You guys know me since I was a nobody to most of the fans. So I appreciate you guys. It's always fun to catch up with you guys and see the progression we've all made. So yeah, thanks for the interview, and you guys could hit me up anytime. And hopefully it's next time we talk, it's about good news and a fight coming up. So I'm in the gym. I'm waiting to go in right now. I'm getting ready. I don't know what I got next, but it'll be something. I'm motivated.
All right, cool. Well, we'll let you go. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon, Cub.